Well, good evening. We want to call our regular council meeting of Thursday, April 11th to order. And so if you would like to do roll call.
Mayor Hartke?
Here.
Vice Mayor Rowe?
Here.
Councilmember Stewart?
Here.
Councilmember McClymans?
Here.
Councilmember Wong?
Here.
Councilmember Lopez?
Here.
Orlando?
Here. Thank you. So tonight, delivering the invocation, we have a dear friend of Chandler's. Pastor Mike Sproul has been serving at Tri-City Baptist both in Mesa and in Chandler for over 3 decades, in Chandler for 15 of those years. And he is moving with his capacity as a chaplain to Andrews Air Force Base. So this is going to be the last time for a little while that we'll have the opportunity to have Pastor Sprouse lead us in our invocation. So, Pastor, and if Councilmember Orlando would lead us in the pledge afterwards.
Join me in prayer as your conscience directs you. Father God, we do thank you for your goodness to us as a people. We thank you for the wisdom of our city council and our mayors in the past. We thank you for the growth of our city. We thank you for the diversity of our city. We thank you for all that goes on in our city. But Lord, we would hasten to add that it is by your grace that this good happens, not just by our wisdom. I pray that you defend our nation. I pray for those who are deployed overseas right now in harm's way and their families. We pray for families in the last few days who've been informed of their loved one paying the highest sacrifice for freedom that can be paid, their life. I pray that in a very special way you'll be with them at this moment. I pray for wisdom for our council as they decide matters for our city tonight. And we pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Council Member.
Mayor, do you mind if I say a few words about Mike?
Please do.
Mike and I served many years in the Air National Guard. I think I was a major, you were a captain. You caught up to me, and there's no doubt in my mind, Mike, you're going to go past me. So good luck on your new assignment, and next time we see you, you can have that star on, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Mayor, for indulging me.
Yeah. So to our guest visitors this evening, we've got a regular council meeting that right now we will have a single vote on everything that is there on our consent agenda. Afterwards, we also have a couple public hearings that we will be having staff make a presentation as well as an invitation to the audience, and then we will have some council and staff announcements at the end of our time here. So next on our agenda is our consent agenda. Council, what is your wish?
Mayor?
Councilmember Orlando.
I move that we approve the consent agenda Thursday, April 11th, 2019.
Is there a second? Second. Second by Vice Mayor Rowe. Councilmember Stewart.
May I have a quick question on item number 26, please?
Yes.
Can I get Marsha, can you have staff give us a quick presentation on what we're going to do with this construction project, why we're doing it, and how we're funding it?
Of course. The Mayor, Councilmember Stewart, John Knutson, our Public Works and Utilities Director, is going to run through that presentation real quick.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Stewart, for the question. This evening, I'd like to give a short presentation on item 26, which is an item for the construction of the Arizona Avenue, Chicago Street intersection improvements. First, we'd like to orient you to the project. It's right outside City Hall, actually. We have the new square development and Pirates Fish and Chips, which will touch the project to the west. And we have City Hall and the City Hall garage, which will touch the project on the east side. So it's that area right there. To give some historical background on the project, in March 2018, in a council micro retreat, options for the parking garage were discussed. The preferred option from council had an estimated value or an estimated cost for that construction of $21.6 million. June 14, 2018, City Council adopted an annual budget for the fiscal year 1920, which included an additional $2 million contingency for that garage in downtown. June 28, 2018, McCarthy Building Company's design project was approved by City Council, and that design project included a downtown traffic study that ultimately recommended improvements to Arizona Avenue and Chicago intersection. In March of 2019, just a few months ago, public outreach was conducted by Kim Moyers, where she talked to DCCP merchants, as well as the surrounding businesses, the folks behind us, as well as the Pirates Fish and Chips folks, related to the construction project, the traffic signal, and how it would affect their business and the timing of this project. March 25th in 2019, a second budget workshop was held where council reviewed the upcoming budget, which will be approved later on in the year. And in that budget, there will be a $2 million downtown redevelopment money that will be put back into the account. So we're using the $2 million downtown contingency to do this project, but it would be replenished in next year's budget, which was reviewed at that budget workshop. March 26th, we held a council subcommittee where the recommendation for the proposed improvements for the intersection were approved. And so this evening, we're here in front of you tonight to ask for approval for the construction of this of the intersection as proposed. So the benefits of the project are pretty clear. This project will increase or improve the traffic flow both to the new parking garage as well as Arizona Avenue, both north and south. It will also improve pedestrian flow across Arizona Avenue to the new square development, as well as City Hall and the businesses to the east. The last two bullets really discuss the reasons why we're doing it now. So they're more schedule-related items. The reason why the project needs to go now is we need this intersection work to be completed by the time the parking garage is completed, which is in the December timeframe. The other issue is there is work related to both the new square and our parking garage that influence Chicago. And so we really need to have the intersection project complete so that we're not interfering with the new town or the new square contractors or our own contractors, actually. And then finally, with all of the increase in traffic, it's absolutely required that we get this done so that we're not backing that traffic up on Arizona Avenue. And finally, we would like to get the work done in the summertime so that we're not interfering with downtown activities that obviously come about in the fall. We want to get all this work done before all those the fall activities that will happen in October, November. And then in summary, it's an action this evening. The project is in front of council for consideration for the approval of the Arizona Avenue and Chicago Street intersection improvements. The FY 1920 budget that you're considering today will replenish that $2 million reserve within the downtown budget. So with that, I can take any questions.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, John. I appreciate that presentation. I want to be clear on the $2 million. That's not going to prevent us from doing any of the other road improvement programs we already have cited for this year and the next budget season, no?
No, absolutely not. This is a specific reserve for the downtown area, and it has really nothing to do with the other projects.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember, any other questions on this item before we go to general? All right. Council, any other questions on the agenda that we have a first and a second on before we vote? Councilmember Lopez.
So I just want to make a comment, though, on item number 25, boards and commissions. This month we have quite a bit of new commissioners due to term expirations, those leaving, and I just wanted to make a note of all of the past commissioners and board members that we had serving in the city. We're sorry to see so many go in at this time, but again, it's a normal cycle every year that we have to replenish them. So again, it's a note out to all the public out there that if you do want to be involved in boards and commissions, please go to our website and boards and commissions and get involved. And thank you to all those that were willing to step forward over the last couple of months to put their name forward and be involved in our community and get involved. We appreciate it. That's all I wanted to say, Mayor. Thank you.
And I know we have people that we're approving actually in the audience here tonight that are quite interested, and thank you. And we will be later on this spring, early summer, we will be honoring those who have stepped off and continuing on as well. So anything else before we vote, Council? All right, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Fantastic. Council, next on our agenda are public hearings. And these are to continue the public hearing from Monday, April 8th study session for each of the two hearings that are before us. So our public hearing number one, City Manager.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and ask our housing office to come forward and make the presentation, if you're ready.
Good evening, Mayor Harkey and members of the City Council. My name is Karen Bishop. I am the Community Development and Resources Supervisor with the City of Chandler Neighborhood Resources Department. I'm here tonight to provide an overview of the proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan. That includes recommendations for allocations for the Community Development Block Grant or CDBG funds. Each year, the City of Chandler receives CDBG funding from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, to assist in the development of viable urban communities. HUD requires recipients to submit an annual action plan. The plan, which serves as the city's application for funds, identifies activities and initiatives that the city will pursue to assist vulnerable households and promote residential and neighborhood activity. Funds allow for a wide range of community development activities to support decent housing, suitable living environments, as well as expanded economic opportunities. The Neighborhood Resources Department makes CDBG funds available through a competitive process, and the City of Chandler Housing and Human Services Commission, or the HHSC, makes funding recommendations to Mayor and Council for approval. The federal government has not yet completed the allocations process for HUD's fiscal year 2019 appropriation, and therefore we are using last year's award as a basis. The recommendation also includes a contingency plan to adjust as needed. The contingency plan can be found on pages 1 and 2 of the plan. The recommendation includes $1,162,317 for program activities, $290,579 for program administration. This year, 8 projects were considered for CDBG funds for public services and fair housing activities for a recommendation of $217,934. Those funding recommendations appear on page 15 of the plan. An additional 9 projects were considered for CDBG funds for capital projects, housing, and neighborhood revitalization. And the recommendation totals $944,383. These recommendations appear on page 16 of the plan. On March 27th, the HHSC approved all of these CDBG funding recommendations. The plan is available for public review on our website, as well as at the Neighborhood Resources Office. The city is required to hold a public hearing to collect input on the annual action plan, as well as the CDBG funding recommendations. Additionally, there is a 30-day public comment period, which started March 27th, 2019, and continues through April 25th, 2019. Upon notification from HUD, the final allocation, the plan will be revised and presented to Mayor and City Council for approval and submitted to HUD. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Council, do you have any questions for Ms. Bishop?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Orlando.
So I see former Councilmember Trinity Donovan in the audience. I don't know if she's going to speak tonight, but I'd like some questions on the iHelp program and how that works for homeless. So I don't know if she's going to speak tonight. Could you address some of those? Or
I would certainly defer to Trinity and or Shauna to answer those questions directly, but we are certainly open to answering
I'll just wait
questions as well.
for the
Okay.
further hearing. Okay. Thanks, Mayor.
Anyone else from here? All right. From the audience, we do have 3 speaker cards on this, and then I'll also see if there's others. But I'd first like to invite up, as they came in, Jackie Taylor. So if you please come up, state your name and address for our record. Thank you, Karen.
Mayor Harkey, members of the council, my name is Jackie Taylor, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of Save the Family Foundation of Arizona. We're located at 125 East University in Mesa, Arizona, 85201. I'd like to speak in favor of the annual action plan and including the support of the funding recommendations. The November 2018 regional homeless street count required by HUD documented 519 homeless families in shelters, transitional housing, or unsheltered on the night of the count, which was January 23rd of 18 in our region. This was a 5% increase over the previous year. Even as Maricopa County continues to see an increase in homeless families in need of shelter and housing programs, emergency shelters continue to overflow, with families waiting for months to access housing programs. More than 50 new families are slipping into homelessness every week, and on average, 200 families are waiting to access programs such as ours and my colleagues. Save the Families housing for our homeless intervention program is located in Mesa and in Tempe, and our services are delivered at our headquarters in Mesa as well as in the client units as appropriate. Save the Family is honored to have partnered with the City of Chandler in meeting the needs of its most vulnerable citizens, those who are homeless, for almost the whole 30 years of our existence. We are able to leverage private funding along with the city funding to have a greater and long-lasting impact. Together, we are changing lives with this funding. Thank you, and I would appreciate your support.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Any questions? Councilmember Orlando.
Jackie, thank you for all the work you do. I really appreciate it. You said there's a 5% increase. You got any ideas why that is happening?
Oh, there are several reasons, council member. If we just look at the skyrocketing increases in rents, it no longer suffices to simply be employed. Families that may have been stably employed are being hit with rents in excess of 20% increase. And for a family that's barely hanging on, it's impossible. When you translate that to a single mom with perhaps 2 to 3 children, which is the average profile of the families we serve, you can quickly do the math and realize it's impossible for her to hold down enough employment to sustain a 2-bedroom apartment. So I think just the current economics of what's happening in our economy relative to housing has a huge impact. Beyond that, of course, domestic violence is an issue that our families express as a primary reason for being homeless.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you,
welcome,
Jackie.
sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Next, I see she might have stepped out. We'll go to,
It's right there.
is Michael Harvin? If you could please state your name and address.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Michael Harvey, and I am a member of the Chandler iHelp program at 345 South California Street. I became homeless in September of 2018. I never expected to be in a situation like this, and I didn't really know what to do at the time. I searched online for shelters in Chandler, which I had been a resident in, and I found Ascend. And later that day, when I was told I had to leave where I was currently living, I made my way down to the center. I was accepted into the iHelp shelter program, which for me was a godsend. I began working shortly after joining the program, but had to leave my position due to an injury which had resulted in surgery. During that time, I was well cared for and nominated and entered into the TBRA housing program. I received my housing voucher this February and am currently looking for an apartment. Upon being medically cleared, I've begun working again. If it weren't for Ascend and Chandler iHelp and the TBRA program, I'm not really sure where I would be or where I'd be staying right now. I'm incredibly thankful for all of these programs and what they've done for me, and am honored to be able to share my story with all of you here tonight. So thank you.
Michael, thank you for not giving up and continuing to work for what you're shooting for.
Thank you.
Yeah. Council, comments, questions? All right, thank you. Trinity Donovan. You know the drill. Name and address.
I'm not usually, haven't usually been
I
on this
know.
side though, so thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and all of the guests who are here tonight or watching from afar. My name's Trinity Donovan, and I'm the CEO of Ascend. Our address is 345 South California Street in Chandler, 85225, and I'm also a Chandler resident and live in the 85225 zip code. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work for Ascend and with the community as we help people as they move from crisis to stability and ultimately to prosperity. We have a variety of programs at Ascend, including food boxes, rent and utility assistance, senior nutrition programs, family programming, and programs for people experiencing homelessness. We can't do any of our programs without a variety of community support, and City of Chandler has been one of our supporters for many of our programs. This support includes funding from the Community Development Block Grant for some of our programs for people experiencing homelessness to help them gain employment, get a home, and really be able to fully contribute to our community. Jackie mentioned the 2018 MAG point-in-time homeless count in the report, and just recently MAG provided some preliminary numbers for the 2019 report, and they found a 22% increase in homelessness across the county compared to the last count, and a 40% increase in people experiencing homelessness for the first time. And I think Jackie did a good job of mentioning some of the reasons why. So historically, Ascend has received funding from the Community Development Block Grant for our tenant-based rental assistance case management and our rapid rehousing programs through housing stability support. And Michael talked to you, so he's been in our iHelp program, which isn't funded through Community Development Block Grant funds, and he's going to be transitioning to the TBRA program, which is. Really all of those programs, but specifically the ones that are funded through CDBG, are essential to ending homelessness in Chandler. They provide ongoing support and services to those experiencing homelessness and move participants from staying on the streets into permanent housing. Last year, through the CDBG program, we were able to help 87 individuals and families obtain housing. These programs are a solution to the issue of homelessness and have a long-lasting impact on the lives of people who received housing. I want to acknowledge all of you for attending our open houses and community events in the past to become more knowledgeable about community solutions. And if you'd like further details, we always love to have you come out for a tour for specific programs. And I also want to thank you for your past support of essential programs like these funded at Ascend, as well as other community partners that we work with in the community.
Thank you, Ms. Donovan. Councilmember Orlando, do you have a question?
Yes,
for
thank
her?
you. Trinity, it's good to see you again.
Yes, thank you. Good to see you.
The iHelp program. I asked that question earlier about why the increase of homeless. There's the perception out there that the more you help, the more homeless you get. How do we dialogue that? How do we discuss that? I mean, I just heard one reason was obviously domestic violence, or several reasons, higher rentals. What are you seeing out there? Why the homeless?
You know, unfortunately, we had the downturn in 2008, and there's been a recovery, but for many of the people we serve, they haven't experienced the same recovery as the overall community. Those who are hit hardest are the last to be able to move up. And I also think we grew our program for people experiencing homelessness first through iHelp, but before that, we served people experiencing homelessness in our food bank as well. We did not see, compared to our food bank numbers, we did not see an upsurge of people experiencing homelessness coming into our iHelp program. And sometimes those are different people, frankly, but I think there has always been people who are experiencing homelessness in our community. Sometimes it's more hidden for people than others, depending on where you live in the community. And we have great economic development that's working well, great statistics, high median incomes in Chandler. Unfortunately, that doesn't extend to all people in Chandler. And so programs like these are helping people get back on track, get into a home, get off the streets, to be healthier and safer, and really overall benefit our community. You know, when everyone in our community has a better way of life, we all benefit from that as well.
So your iHelp program, which I had a chance to visit several times, and I've addressed some questions from there. It's a great program. And so you have a graduate, and if this or someone that's moved off that program, it's only for a 6 months time frame. And then you look, I don't want to take your thunder here, but I'm really impressed in how you seek jobs and relationships. And can you share just a little bit of that? Because I think it's important that we get that on record.
Well, first, we can't do this without the community. So I mentioned, but I'm so grateful to be able to work in a community where we work together. So Ascend is the managing organization, and we're able to work with houses of worship. So there's host sites that contribute space. And then we have volunteer groups who provide a meal in the evening and a sack lunch in the morning. So last year, over 14,000 hours of volunteer support went into supporting iHelp. So this is a community-wide effort. Most people are living in Chandler as they're going to their house of worship in the same community. And so we have all of that support. The housing and the shelter is important to be able to get back on your feet, but to us, that's not enough. We want to help people become more successful on that road to prosperity. And so that's where we have case managers to help people, help them get jobs. Perhaps they qualify for Social Security, so help them with the benefits that they've earned in their life, and also then help them get into homes.
And I know you deal with veterans too as well, right?
Yes, we have all types of people who are coming to iHelp.
So
Adults, all types of adults.
Okay, it's dear to my heart, veterans, you know that, all of our hearts. So like I said, it's a way of progressing along in this program. You have caseworkers that are actually helping them write resumes, look for jobs, search jobs, interviewing process. So it's not just, I'm housing you for 6 months. You're actually helping them trying to move on in their life, as we had the individual before. So appreciate that.
Thank you, good summary.
Thank you.
I believe it's 3 months, not 6
Yes.
months, 90 days that they can stay in the
And
program.
So thank you, Mayor.
Is it 90
and
days?
Councilmember Orlando. It really depends on the person. We do try to get people out of out of iHelp within 90 days. But every person has a different reason why they're there, a different story. I mean, Michael shared with you, he was getting on track and got a job, and then he had an injury that kind of set him back again. And so, you know, we each experience crises in our life, and we need some time to bounce back from those. And so, yes, our plan is for people to be in the program for 90 days and go from there, really case-by-case basis.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for
Councilmember Lopez.
So I guess one quick staff question though, but I want to stay on this for a little bit. My understanding is all these funds though, these are all federal grant funds. I mean, they pay for administration and it pays for the program. So this isn't really coming out of city budget. My understanding is correct? Don't go away though.
Mayor Harkey, Councilmember Lopez, that is correct. The funds that you're seeing tonight are federal funded, CDBG and home funds. We will be coming back to you in May with our general fund allocations. We go through the similar process every year with the general fund allocations. And we do have proposals in from Ascend and some other agencies for additional services for homeless as part of that process as well. iHelp is one of those applications to support the case manager associated with that program.
Okay. Yeah, but what's in discussion for this one, the CDBG funds are federal funds for now.
Yes, correct. CDBG and home fund.
Yeah, while you're up there, I know Councilmember Orlando talked about the increase, which is there, but is it safe to say that since Flagstaff lost that one case concerning panhandling, we certainly have a lot more people on our streets who are asking for money at street corners than used to be years ago? I mean, if there's been a significant increase, that has been a significant part of the population of those who are on our streets who appear homeless. Is that also correct?
Mayor Harkey, you are correct. Yes, there are panhandlers that you see at the street corner on a regular basis that may not be experiencing homelessness per se. Sometimes they are dealing with other issues. One of the things that we have tried to do out of our office is create the Change Up campaign, which is a public awareness campaign to really encourage people to give in a different way. Instead of handing money to a panhandler who may or may not be homeless, or you may actually be not really giving them the best type of help. You may be continuing another type of situation they may be encountering. We encourage people to support Change Up, which actually goes back into supporting the agencies that you see serving tonight, the homeless that are in our community. We have navigation services through our office. So all of those funds will go to support those services, because ultimately what we want to do is find the best solution for the person who is encountering an issue. By being able to differentiate between those that are panhandling who are homeless and those that are panhandling that may have other issues, we can really serve each one of the individuals in a better manner.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Councilmember Lopez.
So when we talked about some of the homelessness increases, I mean, there's so many, in some of the research I've been able to do, there are so many reasons, right? A business that happens to go under or have layoffs because of transfers or being bought out and or just folding under, even though we may have a good economy, there are certain businesses that may not survive, and we can have homeless effect of that. My understanding is also homelessness is migratory, right? So they may float around and find out, not to hammer it or bring it up, but I mean, the light rail tends to kind of expand that a little easier is my understanding. So because of the light rail and what's going great in the East Valley, it sometimes can be a draw for some of the homelessness. Would that also, I mean, be a possibility for why we see an increase in the East Valley versus anywhere else?
Councilmember Harkey, Mayor Harkey, Councilmember Lopez, there is a correlation that has been found at the time when light rail went into Mesa. Mesa did see an increase in their street count that year, and Phoenix happened to see a decrease in a similar manner. I think it's probably somewhat stabilized. As you said, homelessness is transient, and there's probably some back and forth that happens. We also see snowbird homeless. There is a percentage of the population that will go to Prescott in the summer, for example, or Flagstaff, and then come down to the valley in the winter. We have several clients that we deal with each year that are seasonal homeless. So it can be transient beyond just, again, public transportation. It can be transient upon states. We do have a number of homeless that we come across that are coming in from other states. Usually with that group, they're not staying in the community as long. Often we can connect them with services. Sometimes they are able to go back to the state where they came from and connect with maybe family members or something along those lines.
Thank you. Trinity, I just wanted to make a comment. So myself, I've been involved in a nonprofit recently and across the valley. And one thing that I've run across that has stood out from those I've been working with in Phoenix and even the West Valley, that they mention Chandler, they mention Ascend, the iHelp program, and they mention a lot of stuff that we do here in the East Valley. And it was interesting, the statement that was said to me was, why do you have so many programs? Because you don't have that big of a homeless problem in the East Valley. And I told her, well, that is partly why the reason we don't have such a big problem in her perception. I don't see it as a problem, it's an issue, it's part of life in our culture, in our society, but we address it head on. We don't treat them as a statistic, as a homeless person, we treat them as an individual, we find their needs, and we seek that out. That's why we have great partnerships through private, public, and interfaith that address these directly so that we can, again, get them back on their feet. And I want to say to staff and all the nonprofits that are involved with this, to me, that means that we're doing something right when the rest of the valley looks to us as the solution seekers, when we are doing things and solving problems that other people don't see as one, because we're actually addressing it head on. So I want to thank you and Ascend and also any other nonprofits, iHelp and all that, for all they do under these the CDBG funds, again, helping with the least fortunate among us. Thank you.
Mayor Harkey, Councilmember Lopez, thank you. I talked about how we have such a wonderful community that helps us. I was remiss in also talking about how we have amazing staff who care about the people we serve, and also about helping people get out of homelessness and really step on the path towards prosperity. And so it's about how we all work together. And I was struck as you mentioned that the city of Chandler also has wonderful staff who cares about ensuring that we don't have people experiencing homelessness, and they're doing what they can and finding innovative solutions for that as well. And I just want to mention one more thing in terms of there is homelessness that's transient. I also think it's important that we have a program in Chandler, because while people may not have a home, they still consider Chandler their home, and they don't want to go all the way to Phoenix, because that's just like I don't want to go to Phoenix for a meeting sometimes. They don't want to have to, I have the luxury of a car to get there. They don't want to have to take many buses and other things to get to a place that's not familiar to them and not home. And so that's a key piece of having these programs for our community members.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see no additional cards at this point, and I'm going to close the public hearing on our first public hearing items. Public hearing number 2 is the Home Investment Partnership Programs and Funding Recommendations. Again, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So Karen's going to make the presentation on the home program.
Mayor Harkey, members of the City Council, in addition to CDBG funds, the city also receives an annual allocation of home investment partnerships or home funds. The City of Chandler is the member of Maricopa County Home Consortium. The consortium is a lead agency for home funds and applies for home funds. Included is the City of Chandler's allocation through the Maricopa County Annual Action Plan. Like CDBG, the Neighborhood Resources Department makes home funds available through a competitive process. The HHSC makes funding recommendations to Mayor and Council for approval. Once approved, the Home Consortium submits these funding recommendations to HUD for approval on the city's behalf in their annual action plan. Once again, the federal government has not yet completed the allocations process for HUD's fiscal year 2019 appropriation, and therefore we are using last year's award as a basis. The recommendation also includes a contingency plan to adjust as needed. The contingency plan can be found on pages 1 and 2 of the plan. The total recommendation includes $395,585 for program activities, and $26,372 for program administration. This year, 2 projects were considered for home funds for a total request of $406,112. On March 27th, the HHSC approved the funding recommendations that are summarized on page 17 of the plan. The recommendation includes $206,112 for tenant-based rental assistance and $189,473 for Newtown's Community Land Trust Homeownership Program. Just like with the CDBG funds, the plan is available for public review on our website or within the Neighborhood Resources Office. The city is required to hold a public hearing to collect input on the plan and home funding recommendations. Additionally, there is a 30-day public comment period starting March 27, 2019 and running through April 25, 2019. Upon notification from HUD of the final allocation, the plan will be revised and presented to Mayor and Council for approval, and the Maricopa County Home Consortium will submit the plan to HUD. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Council, questions?
There.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you for the presentation. I don't necessarily have a comment about the presentation. I get that. It was well done. Thank you. I think it is a global question about the homelessness issue and CBDG. And what I'm not seeing in any of these numbers, and maybe, Leah, you can address this, is what are we doing as it relates to the drug and opioid problem, which is forcing many people, it wasn't mentioned earlier, and I've heard some numbers. I serve at the pleasure of the mayor and community on MAG's Health and Human Services, and that topic has come up quite frequently as one of the biggest reasons for the increase in the homelessness issue in Maricopa County. Does CDBG funding, can that be allocated to rehabilitation or fixing at some places the source of what might be causing the homelessness issue, other than just the economic factors?
Mayor Harkey, Councilmember Stewart, with CDBG funding, only 15% of the entire allocation is able to go to what we consider public services. That public services category is where you see the homeless resources, so it's a very limited amount of money through those funds. What we are able to do, though, through the general fund is provide the funding for the homeless navigators. And the role of those navigators, they are trained in behavioral health, and they are able to make connections with the clients that they are serving to detox, to mental health providers. They really connect them to the behavioral health services for those that are in need of the services. So we have found that to be a very effective method of trying to get someone to the service. It is challenging, I will say. It is extremely challenging when you have someone who has been homeless on the street. We have some clients that have been homeless in Chandler. They're from Chandler originally for over 20 years. And it is challenging. The navigators have to work with them week after week, and sometimes it can take a year even to get them into services and into housing. And that's why the role of the navigator is so crucial, because they build a relationship with the person and they build the trust. And so they're there the day that the person decides, today is the day that I'm going to make a difference in my life. And they're able to connect them to those services. In a perfect world, we would have many more resources. The mental health system is drastically underfunded, the behavioral health system. We see a lot of challenges with both of those systems, especially keeping the level of case management that some of the clients need. It is an ongoing challenge. Again, we're fortunate to have the navigators, though, that are able to even work with the case managers and the behavioral health system when we start to see people falling through the cracks.
Mayor, thank you, Leah. So I guess I get that, and that's amazing, and I've seen it in action when we went to lunch. We were coming back from MAG, and we went to lunch that day, and we saw that event happen on the corner, and everybody sprung into action. It was fantastic. I guess my deeper question is, and maybe we'll get to that in the general fund, and forgive my memory if we did it last year and I forgot, but if we have drug issues in Chandler, and we're basically putting Band-Aids on with the CDBG funding and providing opportunities after somebody has made that decision to change their life, or they're going through transition like the gentleman that spoke earlier, what are we doing for those folks that need the help, the rehabilitation? Are we scholarshiping people into rehab? Does the state provide those services? How does that work?
Mayor, I'm sorry to interject, and we really are talking about the CDBG allocations here in the home funding. We're going into a broader topic that really is not on the agenda for tonight. A great discussion, just not on the agenda.
How is it not on the agenda if we're talking about funding for homelessness?
Because you're talking about the CDBG allocations, and I think if you keep it on that, then I'm good.
Okay. So CBDG is not allocated for rehabilitation.
We're actually on home funds now, not CDGB. There's
Well, it's kind of all encompassing, but I understand. So when is the time we talk about that?
Mayor, may I suggest, Councilmember Stewart, that we get staff to put together an actual presentation on this topic and then return to all of you to have that conversation?
Okay, so this isn't a public hearing, it's a presentation?
Mayor, Councilmember Stewart, we are taking public comment as part of this, but I think we would be able to address that a little bit better when we discuss general funds, when we come back to you with general funding, because of the narrow reach of the public services dollars, just because, again, they're limited to only 15% of the funding that's available, and home in particular is restricted to housing-only activities.
Well, okay. Yeah. May I say something?
Councilmember Wong.
Yeah, I think we are on the dais. The council should be able to have the freedom to discuss whatever we want to talk. And even if it's not on the agenda, of course, to my knowledge, for the unscheduled speaking, we cannot have discussion on that. And of course, it's possible that we go out of the topic, it's possible, but hey, I think we should not be penalized about that. And if we need to censor ourselves from, did I go out of topic, did I go out of topic? Well, we don't have freedom of speech here, so.
Councilmember Wong, this is specifically a public hearing for a specific item.
Yeah, I understand, but there's a council discussion, so, yeah.
I understand.
So, just want to make my stance. Thank you.
Thank you. Council and Councilmember Stewart, we're not done with that discussion, but I think the answer that I heard, there's extreme limited funds with this particular revenue stream. And there are other things, for example, that our police department is doing and others that probably will better address your question. I think that's the best answer.
Thank you, Mayor. And forgive me, it's not, I'm just trying to get a better understanding of how this system works. And just sitting on MAG, these things bubble up, and it seemed like the opportunity to bring it up, but I totally get where you're coming from. And yeah, we'll probably do this in a different presentation, and we can really get to the heart of this. I don't have any qualms or any problems with this. I just want to solve the problem. And so I want to have that open discussion about it.
Yeah. Mayor.
Councilmember Orlando.
So I still have some additional questions on homeless and this program and Mark's questions, and maybe it's time for us to plan for a community service subcommittee, and maybe we could put some of these subjects on there. So I think we'll work with staff to get a subcommittee and get some of these questions and then bubble them back up.
Okay. Council, would that be something that you would be interested in following Councilmember Orlando's wish on this?
And again, Mayor,
again, we're also not on.
This is not on the agenda, so thank you.
All right, yeah. All right. Anything else related? I do have a speaker card, but Council, any other discussion on this topic, home funding for this public hearing? All right, Jackie Taylor. Welcome again.
Mayor Hartke, do I need to introduce?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Mayor Hartke, members of the council, Jackie Taylor, I'm coming to you in the role of CEO of ARM of Save the Family Foundation of Arizona, which is our affordable housing side of the house. And I come to you tonight, I don't have a dog in the hunt relative to funding recommendations, but I wanted to come to you just in support of the council's support for the home program. I would tell you that we cannot develop affordable housing units fast enough. In our county, for every 100 families that are in deep poverty, there are only 25 affordable housing units available. So we have an extreme shortage of availability of affordable housing. And what that necessitates is that families either double up, which puts both families in a precariously housed position, or they find themselves in unaffordable housing and recycle back into homelessness. I'm proud to say that Arm of Save the Family has partnered with the City of Chandler over the years to develop 14 affordable housing units in the community. And I'm equally as happy to say we're probably the best kept secret in the city, which means we're doing our job and not drawing attention to ourselves. We take pride in the fact that we, like other partners who are developing affordable housing, provide support services to the families that are being housed. And I can say for Arm of Save the Family, annually 50% of the families we're housing in our affordable housing units are working to increase their income. So I come to you with great gratitude to the council for support of this wonderful program that does have the capacity to develop affordable housing in our communities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Any questions? All right. I have no additional cards from the audience, so I would like to also conclude the public housing hearing number 2. Next on our agenda is current events. So I would like to start off with something not on my agenda, which is to actually give a kudo out and a shout out to Councilmember Stewart. He was on a steering committee over the last several months that put together a governor's prayer breakfast that I thought was exemplary this morning, and thank you for your hard work. So, beyond that, I've got a couple of announcements. I'd like to do a shout out to many people in our city for our Commonwealth Canal. The redesign of the Commonwealth Canal Promenade has recently won 2 awards that I'd like to recognize tonight. The 2018 Environmental Excellence Award of Distinction from Arizona Forward and the Honor Award of Outstanding Professional Achievement from the American Society of Landscape Architects. And I would also like to commend our city staff for leading this project. Our Cultural Development Director, Kim Moyers, our Public Works and Utilities Director, John Knutson, and staff Andy Go and Daniel Haskins. I would also like to acknowledge J2 Engineering and Environmental Design for making this space so beautiful and functional. Many of us had the opportunity to be there at the ribbon cutting and of this particular event. It seems like a year ago almost, was it? Yeah, it was just starting to get warm a year ago, and I think it's a tremendous amenity as downtown Chandler continues to spread east and west, and it preserves part of our future, preserves part of our past, and continues to allow us to point to the future. So I want to thank all who have been involved with that. Secondly, I'd like to draw attention to that registration is now open for our upcoming HOA Spring Academy. The free classes take place during the month of April, starting April 16th, and there will be 5 weeks of these classes that will provide residents and board members of the homeowners associations with know-how and tools and resources to effectively lead in their neighborhoods. Sneak preview, my Mayor Morning Minute will be coming up next week, and I will be talking on this particular item. So residents may participate in person or online, and you can learn more about and register online at chandleraz.gov/HOA Academy. And finally, I do want to invite our community to our family Easter celebration. On April 20th, we will invite families from 9 a.m. until noon to Snedeker Sports Complex for our family Easter celebration. This is a hoot of event to see so many kids come out and families that participate with us. There will be a variety of interactive activities for the whole family to enjoy, including egg hunts and pictures with the Easter Bunny. You can also learn more about this on our city's website. Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for being a part of our morning at the Governor's Prayer Breakfast. Mayor Harkey did a fantastic job and a fun job of being the MC of our event today. And shout out to Victor Hardy, who delivered a beautiful invocation, and the first time I've heard the Lord's Prayer in a cappella with an explanation. It was beautiful. I want to say that I'm moving my office from the 5th floor to the clerk's office because Heather, who's leaving our office, is going to be in the clerk's office. For 2.5, almost 2.25 years, Heather's been keeping everything together for me up on the 5th floor, and I'm so sad to see you go, but I'm so excited for you to be in there. So good luck, but I wanted to give you a shout out from the dais, and thank you for all your help. Mm-hmm.
City Clerk, do we have room to accommodate?
I have plenty of room and plenty of work.
I think we could use some additional passport help if since you're signing up down there.
You know what? You are going to be so good down there. Your customer service, like just your attitude. I can't wait to hear what people say when they're working with you. It's such a win. It's a loss for us, but such a win for the community. It's going to be great.
All right. Councilmember McClymons.
Well, I had no announcements, but when Mark was going on and on, I thought I would mention one thing. Just kidding. So the Chandler Compadres last fiscal year in June, we raised over $1 million, $1.16 million to be exact, for local children's charities in our community. And we're rounding our new fiscal year. And tomorrow we're having our Chandler Compadre Golf Classic. We sold out 2 18s, which is 72 foursomes. We actually oversold 82 foursomes, so we can't fit any more golfers. Golfers that are willing to pay $3,500 starting for a foursome or more for children's charities. So we've already done that. We've laid the groundwork. Wish us the best to round out and beat last year, to continue to elevate that number, to make the biggest impact we can for many charities such as Ascend in this community. So I'm excited for a big day of golf tomorrow. Thanks.
Well, I had hoped to sign up. Maybe next year. Okay. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't remember getting an invitation to play golf, but I think that may have something to do with my lack of golf skill. So, okay, just very quickly, April 15th, right around the corner, that's Monday, that is tax day. I know because I sent a big check. And but if you don't have your paperwork ready, be sure and prepare an extension or request for an extension. And then, of course, the 21st is Sunday, Easter Sunday, and we won't be back before then. And so I wish you all a blessed holiday. And on April 27th, and that's a Saturday, Mike Perry was here just talking about the Relay for Life. That is a real thing. Just because you don't see it in the news every day, cancer is a very serious problem. We can't ignore it. Let's give it the attention that it deserves. Come out and be part of that very, very exciting event, Relay for Life, Basha High School on April 27th. Raise some money. If not you, who? So, and then Heather, I still have your number on speed dial, so I will be calling for things from time to time, and I'm sure I'll get a little freedom to do that, I imagine. So.
Freedom to ask.
Yeah, freedom to ask, yes. And then, of course, for all the organizations that come here, thank you all for being here, and the citizens. Terry Kimball's here from the Chamber. We've got Ascend here, Trinity Donovan. And so, folks, those are my comments. Have a great holiday.
Councilmember Huang.
Heather, really miss you. Every time I walk down to the 5th floor, I was looking at your space. Yeah. I don't have further announcement. Thank you.
Councilmember Lopez.
First, yes, happy Easter to staff, mayor, council members, and our citizens out there. Enjoy your time with holiday, and please get in touch with their spiritual side if you're so inclined. I have one scheduled announcement, which is the Chandler Symphony Orchestra. This weekend will also be competing their chamber music series at the Chandler Community Center on April 13th at 3:30. It is no cost to any attendance. It is a great time to expose yourself and your family, young ones, to classical music. Again, donations are accepted, and if you would like to find out more information, please go to chandlersymphony.com. Heather, we have a star falling out of the 5th floor down to the lobby. You will be missed, but you're not going far. Thank you.
Councilmember Orlando.
Heather, I miss you. We all miss you. Now, good luck on your new role. It's exciting. So I understand there's a warrant out for Councilmember Stewart's arrest. There's a warrant out for my arrest, and I believe, Mayor, is there one out for you? So what we'll be arrested on Wednesday the 17th. I believe that's the date. And obviously, it's for the Relay of Life. So all of you out there that are on my speed dial and non-speed dial, I'll be calling you to hopefully bail me out of jail. Let's see how long it takes me to get out of jail before Councilmember Stewart gets bailed out. So we'll be making our phone calls. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one announcement tonight, and that was to congratulate Kim Moyers on her recent promotion to our Cultural Development Director. So congratulate her on that. And since all of you have also talked about Heather, Heather was on the 5th floor when I came to Chandler 6 years ago in a different role. But anyway, but that smiling face definitely is missed on the 5th floor. So, but we know where to find you. So that's it, Mayor.
All right. Kim, sorry, I had your title wrong at the ribbon cutting earlier, so congratulations as well. Council, this concludes our meeting. We do have an exec session that we will go back into the room for.